The World Food Programme is one of the leading humanitarian organizations in the fight against hunger. We've asked them how exactly they're planning to fight hunger and what their strategy looks like. So let's see what they had to say.
Hello and welcome. My name is Bernard Kovac. I'm the head of the World Food Programme Innovation Accelerator. Today I want to talk about Sustainable Development Goal number 2, zero hunger, and what it takes to end hunger once and for all. Let's first start with hunger as a topic. How is that defined? Hungry means that people do not have enough calories on a daily basis to live a healthy life. Unfortunately, there's still 1 in 11 people globally who are suffering from hunger. So that's 690 million people globally that don't have enough food, so they go to bed hungry. Now, this is shocking. And if we look at the long-term trend, we actually have made progress. So in 20 years ago, we actually had over 30% global population that was suffering from hunger. Right now, it's only 9%. So in the long-term trend, it actually looks positive. However, in the last 2 years, what we see is that specifically due to conflict, but also climate change, the number of hungry people has increased again. Now, what are the reasons why people are hungry? There's obviously reasons like conflict and war. There can be natural disasters, but also what is called chronic hunger, so that people just don't have enough wealth or earnings to purchase the food, or they're not able to live a healthy life because they are too poor to purchase that food in order to thrive in their lives. Now, if you think about that, this is where it is really shocking, because right now, at this very moment, we have enough food on this planet to feed everybody. And everybody could have a nutritious food and nutritious diet. And if you think about that, well, but why don't we solve that? It really is an issue that is a lot more complex than it's just one silver bullet to solve that challenging topic. Now, when we typically look into how can we alleviate hunger or end hunger, there's a lot of different contexts and actually activities that go into that. So it's definitely an area in terms of like, well, there needs to be enough food production. It also has to be available at the right price to the right people, and it has to be utilized properly. So it means like you ought not only eat junk food, for instance, but you actually need to eat the right food so that you can live a healthy life. So it's a very complex topic, and it actually starts typically already in children's ages, in particular in developing countries. We see that it's a problem that is exacerbated and might even be passed on from one generation to the other. So that's where we as World Food Programme come in, and our mission is to save lives and change lives. Now, the World Food Programme, you may know us from the media as United Nations when we provide food assistance in conflict settings, maybe in Syria, in Lebanon, might also be the Rohingya refugees, but also we work with smallholder farmers, actually in 83 countries, reaching about 100 million people right now on this planet, and working alongside a lot of different activities. There's one element in there that you can compare this to an ambulance driver. So we actually help people in dire need, in conflict, after a natural disaster, providing either in-kind food, or we even provide people with cash cards or other means of payment so can go into stores and purchase food. Another example that we work with is national safety nets. So this would be aspects of, let's say, school meals programs, or working with mother and children, special nutrition programs. And then there's a whole sort of other activities that means like creating livelihoods and market access for smallholder farmers, and lifting people out of hunger sustainably, so that it's not a problem that we exacerbate and continue having, but we might actually reach the goal of zero hunger by the year 2030. Now, my name is Bernard, and I'm the head of the World Food Programme Innovation Accelerator, where I'm actually right now. And our role is we are looking for innovative ways and startups that can help us make that development towards zero hunger even faster. Now, we are identifying, supporting, and scaling disruptive innovations and startups that can help us achieving that goal. So we look for these innovations globally. We then typically run them through a high-intensity training program that we call Innovation Bootcamp, provide them with hands-on support, funding, and also connection to our field operations. And that's, for instance, one of the secret superpowers that I'm often mentioning. While we are based here in Munich, in Germany, our colleagues in the field, World Food Program staff, 18,000 of them, we actually have like those people on the ground working with some of the most vulnerable people, the local communities, the NGOs, the governments, and the businesses in those countries to help them rebuild their lives and also sustainably change their lives. Now, to give you some examples of innovations that we supported. Just recently, one innovation that we had in our program is called eShop. You can imagine it as something like Uber Eats or Lieferando for vulnerable populations. So it's actually our Somalia country office that has invented this, where they thought about the problem set of, well, in a COVID-19 lockdown situation where you have to social distance, how might people actually have access to nutritious food when they are not supposed to actually leave their homes? So they came up with this idea of you can order through a smartphone app or through a text code on your phone, and they already have over 50,000 users who use the app after 5 months of operation, which is really exciting because we see not only is it something that can help people right now in COVID-19, but it's also something that will be there and like enable the building up of the economy in Somalia going forward. Another example I want to mention is called H2Grow. It's a hydroponics growing initiative, and this was initially submitted to us by a refugee from southwest Algeria, and his idea was, why don't we use hydroponics to grow animal fodder here in our refugee camp? Now the Sahrawi refugee camp is something that's unfortunately already existing for over 40 years, and now what he came up with, the approach is super simple but so smart. Why don't we use such a technology like hydroponics, growing plants without soil, using over 90% less water and locally available materials, low cost, and there's over 200 of those units already producing animal fodder and sustainably creating livelihoods for people in that refugee camp that before was dependent on international food assistance alone. And this is exciting for us when we see some of those solutions. For instance, hydroponics, H2Grow, has now expanded in over 9 countries, and we can see the result of people sustainably rebuilding their lives and providing for themselves. It can be in a refugee camp, can also be in an urban setting. In particular, now in COVID-19, we saw that in Palestine, for instance, we just had an expansion project for H2Grow, where even in COVID-19, households could grow vegetables in their homes without having to go out at markets and actually be at a distance with people again. Now, where does this lead us and how can we work? It's really a question about how can we get more people engaged in the fight against hunger and really getting towards the goal of zero hunger? It is a very solvable problem. There's enough food on this planet for everybody to live a healthy life, but we need the greatest and best ideas to really make this happen. So if anybody has great startup ideas or you've been working on something that can help lift people out of hunger, or a smart supply chain solution that can help us reach these goals in developing countries, please reach out to us as Accelerator. But I'm also appealing to anybody, if you're in a corporation or you're running a business, think about what is it that you can influence and then potentially even engage with aspects of like, maybe through your procurement decision, maybe through other aspects that your business actually does, you can create jobs for vulnerable populations. And lastly, also for individuals. We've created an app that's called Share the Meal. And with the tap of your smartphone, you can donate 70 cents, and 70 cents feeds a child for a day. Now imagine that. The 70 cents, that alone isn't creating something big, but together we can end hunger. Thank you very much.